so the next section, we've got about 10 minutes to go, and we have 3 sections technically to go through. However, we're going to focus primarily on 2. So this section talks about defining your target market or your target audience. And this is the most important part of a marketing plan. And you may say, why? Why? Because these are the people you want to talk to. And we've broken them down into 2 groups. Internal groups, there's a primary audience and a secondary audience, and external groups, primary and secondary.
Is that targeting for?
Maybe the examples will help. Okay. So, this is what we figured in Brantford for our council, and we have store operation. Internally, our primary audience are the people closest to us that can most help are our deanery and conference parishioners who are active, especially the parishioners who are active in the communities, and our own volunteers, the people who are already part of the Vincentian organization. So that was, as Linda talked about. Externally, our primary target, again, are people who sort of in our extended circle. In our case, specifically the Catholic Board of Education and everybody associated with them. And secondary is a large market. Of course, our neighbors in need, the people that can help us with that service. So donors, the thrift shoppers, other charitable agencies that are partners with us, political groups that might give us money or allow us to do things within the community, and of course, the media. So give some time to think about who your target audience is, the first level, the primary, and then secondary. So in the interest of time, we're not going to take examples at this point. Now's the fun part, where you actually get to put this into practice in your area.
Okay, for me, this next section is the most fun section. This is called the marketing strategy and tactics. And a marketing strategy tells you what you're going to do for the marketing of your organization. In other words, it's almost like an objective. So but it's based on marketing, not building business or not generating revenue. It's a marketing objective. And also we've got something we're going to show you here. Pat's going to go into the detail, but it's a marketing activities calendar spreadsheet. Okay, we're going to show you that. So here we go.
So in this case, we think we've got a pretty exhaustive list. We'll give you a minute or so just to tick off. We could do that. We'd like to do that. This would help. So you could have print materials. We have examples up here of print materials. Can you do a banner? Start with the white brochures. The white brochures are our old brochures before we started getting some professional advice. One was for emergency assistance. You would give this to your neighbors in need with help. Another was for fundraising purposes. Then we got some professional input. We got a city grant to do that. And we have brochures and posters. We're not wasting these by sharing them with you. They're obsolete now because our address has changed. So you could feel free to take as many examples. We also have thank you cards that we give out as somebody hands in a donation saying, thank you very much for thinking of us. And on the other side, and next time you think of us, here's the things we could especially use. And a bag stuffer, example of a bag stuffer which we used at our store to advertise the fact that we were moving and when we were moving. So that's all print kind of thing. We have a website. The website, the main page is a blog, so we update content there to our partners, to the deanery, to our local Vincentians, depending on the topic. We use social media. There are various platforms. We mainly use Facebook. We do use Twitter because our Catholic School Board uses Twitter. So anything that gets tweeted, they retweet all over the place to their host. So that's the only reason we're on Twitter. Of course, when you have an event, we're having a soft opening of our store in 2 weeks. That gets attention. The media release, Peter, is amazing at the little bit of print media or broadcast media that's still in the communities our size. got them to pick things up. That is a challenge though. And you could do a video format. It could be to spread the word about what you do. It could be as a recruitment tool. In the workshop that Linda Alexander and Judith Dunn have done, they've used clips for the recruitment videos. So just take a minute or so just to tick off which of those would be appropriate for the objectives you're trying to reach, and then we'll wrap up. Peter talked about the communications calendar. No, I don't expect you to be able to read all of this. Down the left are the months of the year. Across the top is our target audience. Our neighbor in need, our thrift store shopper, our donor who gives us stuff, our donor in kind, our donor who gives us cash, our current volunteers, our prospective volunteers. The colors represent different tactics. One might be an email blast. One might say we're going to do a Facebook post. One might say we're going to print a brochure or a poster. So the colors are all different strategies we're using. In some cases, multiple strategies for the same purpose as we go through the year. Do we look at this every week and move ahead? No, to be honest. But at the beginning, it gets you thinking about possibilities. We do look at it periodically, and we also look at it at the end of the year and say, what did we do that worked? What should we add to this for next year? So the communications calendar is a really valuable tool to keep you moving.
Yeah, we love that thing because it keeps us on track. So it's like a roadmap, if you will. Finally, there's an area called creative strategy. Again, this is the fun area. This is when you get to create things, develop images, and this is, well, the word I can use to describe it is creative. There's a document in your kit that I think it has a creative strategy detail in it. We're not going to go through it here, okay, because it'll take too much time. It's there, and it's an example of what we did in Brand to produce our recruitment videos. So at your leisure, or with your group when you go back home, you can look at that creative brief. And the primary purpose, if I can emphasize this point, is to have a document that says, this is what we want to do when we create a message, an advertising message or a communication message. So you do a creative brief to make sure you stay on track, to make sure you stay on strategy.
So just seems to be we may have 30 seconds. Just a couple other things that we didn't include, but we have a couple minutes. A marketing plan can easily be adapted into a business plan. We went to the Diocese of Hamilton to help with financing for our new store. We took a business plan that started with our marketing plan, and we added a whole bunch of supportive documents, financial documents, etc. And they were very receptive because we showed that we were organized, we had a plan, we were moving ahead, we understood the scenario. This seems silly, but the quality of the paper. This guy's got 40 years of marketing experience. We have used every inch of that 40 years of experience.
Not bad for a 45-year-old.
One of the things he pointed out to us was, you don't use the flimsy paper because it's cheaper. You use the heavy cardstock because they take it seriously. That thank you card with the list of what we can use goes on the fridge. It doesn't get stuffed in a pocket and then thrown in the garbage. That poster, they put it up in the schools or in the churches or in the agencies because it's a heavy piece of paper. They take it seriously. Brand consistency, we talked about some of that. Don't just put up a pretty picture because it seems to be appropriate for the event. Use your brand. And you've heard enough about our story in our new store. That was our motivation to get involved in marketing, and boy, has it paid off. Thank you for your attention. Peter and I are going down here.